Okay. And so really what we're going to look at today are some of the terms and conditions and some of the things which are expected of you, and then what you can expect once you're here. So, you know, what's it all about, really? And obviously, if you have any questions, write them down. And if there's a suitable pause, I'll let you know. And if not, we'll leave them till the end. Ask anything you like, of course, anything which is not clear. One of the biggest questions I know is, when are we going to get our placements? Okay. We've still got our German volunteers arriving. Okay. They should all be here by the end of next week. I've got a meeting on Friday with a school who would like to take another 3 volunteers, plus a group of schools in a new area of Spain for us who are asking for 5 volunteers, plus, of course, what we've already got. So I think the question is, when will we know your placements? I should say within 1 month from now, okay? So we've started to confirm some of the placements, but within 1 month, you will know exactly where you're going with your letter of invitation so that you can apply for your visa. Okay, right. So our mission is to allow young people of all nationalities to experience a different culture while benefiting from personal growth, gaining invaluable life skills, making a positive impact, improve local language skills. And this is one of the things which is very important for you. It's the impact that you are making as well on other people's lives, okay? And you somehow must become conscious, and this will be very visible to you, the way that people greet you and welcome you in social situations, the way that the host family you're going to be living with opens to you and welcomes you as one of their own, and the excitement of the children at the host school, the placement school, the way that they react to you. So those 3 things are going to be very visible ways of noticing the positive impact you are having. And sometimes, and it will happen, when you come and you might feel a bit low and you might feel homesick and you might feel, well, maybe I want to go home, I will remind you that it's not only about what you're getting out of the experience, but also about what the people here are getting out of the experience from having you. Okay? And you have to be very, very conscious and keep in mind the idea that I am in Spain, I am helping people. My presence here is positive for other people. And that's a very powerful thing. Okay? And of course, to improve your local language skills, your Spanish language skills, as well as helping the Spanish improve their English. Okay? So who is New Ventures Worldwide? As you know, it's a UK-based charity. We've got a team in 10 different countries. Our volunteers come from New Zealand, Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Poland, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Jamaica. We could go on and on. Okay, so we've had over 7,500 volunteers. Most of them have been happy. Okay, and of course, what we like doing is trying to arrange and ensure the success of volunteering. We believe in volunteering, and all the staff at NVW, at New Ventures, are also volunteers. We also volunteer on other programs with other groups ourselves. Okay, so we understand the dedication, the commitment, and the demands of being a volunteer. So what we're going to offer, or what we do offer, is to make sure that there will be a staff member who is assigned to you to look after your needs, that the placement is going to be vetted, and that the role which you're being offered in the placement is appropriate to your skills, to your age, to your nationality, and your abilities. You'll be getting accommodation, food, and of course, Wi-Fi. Okay, so you won't be living in some sort of mountain refuge. You'll have all modern home comforts, as it were. We're also going to give you preparation guidance, and we will be here whilst you're here. Okay? Obviously, visas, flights, travel insurance, and so on are things which you have to factor in as costs. Okay? And this is the way that we work. We're very conscious of safety. Okay? So once you are selected and matched at a placement, we run a risk assessment. There are no risks associated with Spanish schools other than health risks. Well, the only thing is at schools all over the world, you know, normally when one child gets a cold, the whole school gets a cold. This was really, really evident during things like COVID. Those are the only health risks, or that a child kind of, you know, jumps on you and you fall over and cut your elbow. But there's no inherent risks which are any different from everyday life. Okay, there are no extreme weather risks. There are no dangerous animals. There is no social or community risk involved here. It's a very stable country, and crime is very, very low. Okay? We will then tell you about the placement you're going to, risks and challenges, and then we will arrive in Spain on the 12th of January. 12th of January, we'll be looking forward to seeing you in Madrid. Okay? A couple of days in Madrid and off you go. I believe it is the 12th of January. Let's just check that again. I haven't looked at my notes, okay? And whilst you're here, I will be down to see you once in a while. And also we've got two people. We've got one in the north called Laura and one in central Spain, also called Laura. They're two different people. They will be there, you know, just to, if you need anything, like you lose your passport and you need somebody to go along to the police station with you, they will be offering that kind of support. Okay, so your responsibilities are to abide by the volunteer code of conduct, have realistic expectations, be willing to make a difference to others, look after your health, safety, well-being, treat others with respect and courtesy, and be open to learning rather than imposing your own views, values, and culture. All right, so let's an example of imposing your own values and culture. All right, we had a New Zealand volunteer who was absolutely determined to tell us that, you know, the New Zealand cuisine was the best in the world, that he would not and everybody in Spain, Spanish people are very, very proud of their own food. And he comes along going, no, mate, I don't like, I don't like the desserts in Spain. So he sends over for this thing called a pavlova. Any of you heard what a pavlova is? Some sort of dessert. So he brings along this thing called a pavlova, which comes in a little envelope, mix it with a bit of this or that, put it in the oven, and it kind of, there's a big sort of meringue or something like that, you know. And he was extremely offended that the Spanish family said, well, thank you. Yeah, it's okay. But, you know, we've got our own homegrown desserts, which we think are better. Why don't you try some of them? And unfortunately, the pavlova became a real issue, all right, because he felt that he wasn't being appreciated. And the family said, well, no, we do appreciate it. We're just trying to educate you. And for Spanish people, educating you is showing you which things are best. Okay. And that is just a very Spanish trait. It's saying, yeah, our sorry, somebody else is just coming in, Johnny. Lovely. Okay. Anyway, and the other thing which is very important, of course, when there are issues, is to escalate them and to inform. And we will look at some of those kind of very concrete issues, like I'm a vegetarian and I'm not being given a vegetarian option, which is an important thing. to more subjective things, which might be, the children at home are making a lot of demands on my time. Okay, how do we sort that out without upsetting the children, without kind of dampening their spirits? So those things are a little bit more difficult to handle. Okay, the hosts, these are the schools, agree to provide or to offer or to ask for realistic duties. And this is something we've had an issue with the school, who is saying, okay, yeah, it's 15 hours voluntary work and then another 15 hours paid work. Now, this sounded great, being paid automatically 15 hours a week, so you would get an allowance from them. But then we thought to be expected to spend 30 hours in class when you're just straight out of high school is too much. Okay, so we said that would not be realistic. Now, if they wanted to cut it down to 12 and 12, well, we could look. 10 and 10, we could look. Okay, so we would be willing to say we'll have less volunteers hours and more paid hours. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to argue against that. It's basically the same work. Anyway, to provide support, so there would be a tutor or a mentor there. To deliver some kind of induction, that means introduce you to the other teachers, to the schools, and obviously to the students. Make sure that you are given appropriate accommodation. Okay. We vet our families and the family accommodation through the schools. We don't do it ourselves because we believe that if a family is part of the school community, that is their responsibility. Okay. We make sure there are no risks. We report progress not to Latitude, excuse me. That was our name before. We're now NVW. Latitude was the name we used to use before COVID. Okay, so that was going on for 45 years. And since then, Latitude doesn't exist. Okay, and then we will monitor and offer support. Okay, you've read the code of conduct. So I'm not going to talk, or you will read the code of conduct, and you've signed the code of conduct, and it just says you're going to, promote and protect and enhance your own self-image, that of your country, of young people around the world, and the organization. Okay, and this is what we've got, which is called the ladder of support, which is really important. This is when you have problems, who you go to. Okay, and we've got a scale of 1 to 5. Okay, depending on the severity of the situation. And so the first level of support would be something like fellow volunteers, local staff, and placement tutor. And this would be for the little things like, I feel that the children at home are demanding too much of me. They come into my bedroom, they wake me up, they jump all over my bed. What should I do? All right. And I think maybe if that's a problem, you speak to the other volunteers, see if it's happening with them. When you find out that's really not happening, then I suppose you could decide it's not really acceptable behavior, and you'd be able to discuss this, locally, maybe with your tutor at the school, with the family. Easy. All right. The same thing about the vegetarian meals. You could probably, that's a level 1 kind of issue, which you could discuss with your family. Absolutely fine, the host family. And if it's not resolved, then maybe you would escalate this, and you would escalate it to level 2. If something is not resolved at level 1, then you would speak to the host. I mean, that means the designated person at your school, and ask them to intermediate. Okay, ask them to intervene. If again you didn't find that this was being discussed or resolved, then you would escalate it again to myself. And if I said, "Oh, don't be stupid," of course you can eat some chicken if you're vegetarian, then you would go above me, and you would go to James, okay, who's the European director, or the Latitude CEO. And actually, James is also the Latitude CEO. So going to 4 or 5 is more or less the same. Okay. There are more serious things. For example, if you needed hospital treatment, which meant you had to stay at the hospital, then that would be a level 3 problem to begin with. If you just had to go to the doctor but you got a bee sting, that's level 1. If you need to take time off school to see the doctor because you've got a sore throat, that's level 2, because you have to speak to the person at the school. But if you are admitted into hospital because you have got appendicitis and you've got to stay in a couple of nights, then I need to know. All right? If you lose your passport, that's level 3. I need to know. I will provide you a copy. I'll make sure that you have the means and how to go to Madrid to get a new passport and apply for new documents. If you were kidnapped, well, never happened, of course, then we'd be talking about level 4. I need James and probably the NVW board to get involved there. Okay. So if it was something major, COVID, of course, was level 4, level 5. We needed to make a global statement to everybody so that everybody would understand exactly what we should do and what our, let's say what our policy would be, and we would help people. And the truth is, we did. I think we did. And, nobody got hurt and nobody got seriously ill. And some people stayed throughout lockdown. They decided to, and we just supported them. So depending on the severity of things, we would want to be informed. Okay. In Spain, these are our placements. They are all at schools. They're basically 15 hours a week, which should normally be between the times of 9 o'clock and 4 p.m. Those are the normal school hours. There might be less. Okay. It's Monday to Friday. You are entitled to have Fridays off if you are traveling. Okay. So if you get together with other volunteers and say, look, this weekend, let's go up to the beach, maybe go surfing or skiing, or let's go to Madrid, see a museum. Okay, you get together, we can go on a Thursday night or a Friday morning, and that way you can have Fridays off. Okay, all the schools know this. So it's some Fridays off. Fridays off can also be used if you wanted to, if you specifically, once a week you wanted to go to a gym and have a really good workout on a Friday morning. Okay, that would be reasonable as well. Or if you wanted to go to a Spanish conversation class, a language exchange class, that might be on a Friday morning too. Okay, normally not other days. Okay, so we wouldn't want you to say, well, I've got 15 hours a week. Why don't I condense them into 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I can be off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, just be there 3 days a week. That's not going to work. Okay, that's not going to work. But you will have those Fridays. You're going to be there as a language assistant, which is English or German or whatever other language you come with. It's all welcome. Normally English in Spain. You're also asked to do general supervision, which might be playtime or break time, or it might be in the dining hall as well. All right. Bit noisy. Okay. General supervision also at home, which means helping the kids with their English, and we do measure that and say 5 hours a week. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to sit down and do grammar exercises for 5 hours a week. That means you can sit down and read a story or watch a movie or play a game or go and play in the park. but you will take care of you'll offer 5 hours a week to the family as well. Okay. You get host family full board 7 days a week. This is one of the questions we very, very often have from the families. Well, what about weekends? And are we obliged? And do we have to do this? And I say, look, it's got to be a single room. You've got to imagine this person is like another member of the family. You know, I don't, as we said before, we don't want to monetize this. Well, exchange for 5 hours supervision at home, I'm going to give you 5 days meals, and the other 2 you have to go and look for your own food. No, that doesn't happen. When you're at home, you have meals and you have central heating and hot water and everything else you need. Okay, 90% of your good state of mind is going to be related to the home family. I would say that 90% of the memories which people have is of their their host family. It's been really, really positive on both sides all the way through. So normally we work from September till June. You can work January till June, January until March, September till December. If you want to come for 3 months, not a problem. Okay, if you're signing up for 6 or 9 months, you'll have a 6 or 9 month placement. If you want to extend, we can do that for you. If you come in a 9-month program and after 6 months you say, I'm exhausted, I've done my 6 months, I want to go, let me know. We can talk about it. You will be, you know, I think most placements will understand. Okay. You also have the opportunity to do some private tuition and also some immersion camps, which might be in the winter, at springtime, or different weeks during the school term. If you go on one of these camps, you'll be paid for it. If you do private tuition, you will also be paid for it. And we do tell the schools to look for private tuition, and so that you can be paid, and you might charge 10 to 12 euros an hour, which will keep you going. You know, that should meet, you should be able to kind of meet all your kind of day-to-day expenses by giving a little bit of private tuition. And this has always happened up to now. If you work on one of these camps, you get like 250 euros, of course, and so that should keep you going for a month or so. Okay, these are some of our Spain or Spanish volunteers. We've been through the compliance and the code of conduct and your responsibilities and everything. Obviously, another responsibility, all the documents. We spoke about that last time, and I will speak to any new applicants individually now about documents, although we will have to go over this again as you come to the point where you're requesting your visas. Okay, just going to stop sharing for a moment to see who else has come in. There we go. Okay. Okay, so this is more specifically about the people we've got in Spain and the things that they've been doing. On the left, on the right, I'm sorry, you've got a bunch of people from Australia, New Zealand, Italy. There's our guy there with the pavlova. Okay, he's sitting in there, from Canada, from Ireland. Yep, different places. There were some volunteers there who had some really difficult times. They really found it difficult to fit in. We've got some volunteers there who are in some very, very small places. In fact, I think there's 3 of them there who are in some very small places, and had a fantastic time. Okay, they had a really fantastic time. I would not oblige anybody to go to a very remote placement until I've spoken to them or to you about them and described the specific conditions. What you can see there is a medieval city called Burgos, which is in north central Spain. Beautiful Gothic cathedral, a medieval town center. It was kind of right in the middle geographically of where people were placed, and they decided to get together to go there for a weekend. Typically, if there's a weekend get together, you know, I'll go along, I'll be with you during the day. I know you've got things to do at night, and I don't want to hear all the secrets of what you get up to at night. So you go off and tell me about it and how you got back to your placements the following Monday. Okay. We're not here to put restrictions on, you know, how you develop your lives as teenagers, as young people. We're here to guide you. Okay. And on the left here, we've got Stella. She was from Canada. We were together on a weekend, and this is what she told us.
Hi, I'm Stella and I'm from Canada, and today we're at the Alcazar in Segovia. It's this really beautiful castle, and I've been here for about a month now and I'm absolutely loving it. My family is amazing. I live just about 10 minutes from Segovia, so I get to come to Segovia all the time and check out the bars. Made lots of friends. It's amazing here. I love it so much.
Okay, obviously, so Stella says she loves it so much and she made lots of friends and checked out the bars. That's absolutely great. And she did, and she had a fantastic time, absolutely brilliant time. Stella had a very, very outgoing personality. She would talk to anybody, you know, and her Spanish wasn't bad. But you don't have to have a kind of extrovert, outgoing personality to enjoy your placement. Okay. It takes all sorts. And if we're looking there in this photograph, for example, of the guys on the right, I could identify somebody there. Where are we? Okay. Yeah, on the left of that photograph, a person there with red hair. And she was in a very remote village with a nice family who had a kind of alternative lifestyle, self-sufficient. You could call them kind of, off-grid a little bit. She didn't have this outgoing personality. She was a very kind of introspective, very quiet person. She had an absolutely wonderful time with them. So we got something for everybody. Okay. You don't have to spend your time in bars to meet people either. Okay. But Spanish people are very sociable, and going into bars to cafes and so on is part of their normal routine. Okay. This is Spain. As you Spain is, you know, a small country, but 49 different provinces. Crikey. You know, so 49 different provinces, and the yellow dots are the kind of the provinces where we have placements. And so in the north and west, that kind of strip going across here, you can see the area called Castile and Leon and the Basque country. So this is the Basque country up here. There are 3 provinces, and then it goes across here. And so, you know, there's a kind of concentration. We would say that, you know, from this end, Salamanca or Zamora, to this end, Guipúzcoa, probably about 2 hours travel time, okay, to a central spot. So I'm talking about, if you want to get together as a group on a weekend, you're talking about 2 hours from one extreme to the other. Now, 2 hours means you probably can't get together every day of the week. All right. And so you will get support from other volunteers, but you need to be mindful that, you know, during the week, Monday to Thursday, we want you to focus a lot on your placement. Some of you will be lucky enough to be in places where you can see people every day. But I think it's nice for people to develop their own friendships and social networks. And so when other volunteers come to visit you from other places, they can also, you know, also contribute, introduce you to new people. Okay. At the moment, we've got a couple of the new placements we're looking at, obviously up in the Basque country. The possibility of down in Salamanca, placement for 2 or 3 people together. In Valencia, we are working very actively on increasing the number of placements down here. And also the possibility, we don't know yet, but there's a possibility of three, maybe two or three volunteers right in the south in Andalusia. And that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic because it means that we'd have somewhere else to go and visit, like go and visit our volunteers down there. To get an idea, Madrid is the capital of Spain, and most international flights would come into Madrid. Madrid has got a fantastic high-speed train network. So it means from Madrid to the north, we're talking about 2.5 hours. And from Madrid to Valencia, we're talking about 2 hours. Okay, by high-speed train. Even down to Andalusia, about 2.5 hours. This used to be a lot more. If you wanted to drive, driving is about 5 hours up to the Basque Country, 4 to 5 hours. Valencia, about 3.5 hours, and down to the south, about 3 to 4 hours driving. Okay, so by no means is it a very big country. Okay, compared to Australia, compared to Tasmania, it's probably a bit, it's probably a bit easier to get around in Tasmania. All right, but obviously, not onto the mainland Australia. Okay, this is what we call the calendario escolar, which means it's the school year, which you can see starts in September and ends in June. And if you look here at the slide in September, if you can see that, hope you're not looking on a very small screen, but if you look down here, you can see that September has got the 7th, the 13th, the 19th, and the 25th. And these are all the possible starting dates. So depending on your level, if it's primary, nursery, secondary, or whatever, it's going to start on a different day. And that's also going to start, also depends for us when we are getting the news about the future placements. So when the schools are not at school, there's nobody to confirm placements. What schools normally have to do is say, yeah, we'd like some volunteers. We're going to look for families. And as soon as they got the families, they will confirm the volunteers for us. Okay, or the placement. If you look at a school calendar, there are certain days on the 12th of October, 1st of November, 6th and 8th of January, which are in red, which are public holidays. I think we've spoken about this before, where you don't have to go to school. Okay, and then everything which is in dark green are the school holidays for Easter, for Christmas. This is from the Castilla-Leon region, where we will have some placements. Each region of Spain has a slightly different calendar. Okay, but more or less you can see that the first term finishes in December. The second term is January, February, March, and the final term would be April, May, and June. Okay, so our schedule as we're coming up is our arrival in January 24. I'm saying that 24. Okay, I did a very similar orientation session with our Germans a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, so that's why some of the dates have changed. We will arrange with the placement when it is convenient for them to receive you. You will arrive either in Madrid, or if you're traveling within Europe, you might decide to come direct to Valencia or direct to Bilbao. You will be given a written timetable. It might not be the same timetable every week. You will also have your home schedule, which means we like the family to let you know when the kids have got different activities, when they'd like you to be at home, and also to advise you when they've got a weekend engagement or event where they would like you to come so that you don't make alternative plans. Okay, you should also tell the family, look, the last week of February, I'm thinking about going to France with my colleagues, with my volunteer mates. Okay. Also, they would tell you about what they expect from you at home. No smoking. You can't bring people home to stay the night, or let us know if you're going to miss dinner, things like that. And also the first couple of weeks will be about settling in. If I know some of you have got different arrival dates, this is not a problem. This is not a problem. We would like you in Madrid that weekend so that you can chill out, right? We used to do this orientation face to face. People would come in, they'd be so jet lagged, they would just sit there and watch and not take anything in. So we prefer to do it online. When you come into Madrid, you'll have time to rest, go out, have a look, get a feeling for the place, go and see a couple of places, go for a meal. And then on the Monday morning, on the Sunday evening, I think Monday morning is probably better. Everybody goes off to their placement, you know, make sure we got trains and everything. And you'll be greeted at your final placement, normally by the family, at the station. Okay. Okay, and a couple of things about Spain. We will help you. We've got these things for young people, the Bono Transporte, and these are different kind of discount schemes for young people. Okay, so each region and each city has got its own scheme. So in Valencia, it's free travel all around the Valencia region for people under 30. That's until the 31st of December. Then we'll have to see what happens after that. We don't know for next year. And then there are certain other things. You can get free trips. Something silly like if you lived in Valencia and you wanted to go to Madrid by bus, you pay a set fee of 50 euros, and that would pay for all your trips for 3 months. Now, if you're not going to go to Madrid, it's not a very good idea. But if you're thinking of meeting up with other volunteers kind of 3 or 4 times, definitely worth it. Okay. And in fact, once you've proved that you've taken 3 or 4 trips, they'll refund the 50 euros. So it's free, but you have to promise to make a certain amount of journeys. Strange system. Same thing happens on the trains, depending on the different cities. So you'll find that transport is organized on a regional basis. Okay. Right. Other things to keep in touch, you know, if you want to get a local telephone number, then we will advise you. The companies they are using tends to be Yoigo, Orange, O2 or Vodafone. It depends. You can just get a SIM card with your passport, pay 10 euros and just top it up once a month with 10 euros. That should give you that. Up to now, that has given enough data and enough calls. Everybody, as you know, in Spain uses WhatsApp. Everybody in Europe uses WhatsApp as well, more than any other messaging service. Okay, and if you have data, actually WhatsApp uses very little data if it comes to making phone calls. Okay, by the time you arrive, who knows, there might be a different app which is much more popular than WhatsApp. Okay, absolutely great. And also, if you wanted to open an online bank account, we would help you. Okay, in fact, you can do it yourself with your passport. You don't really need to do too much. From our side, we'll probably do a webinar or a Zoom meeting to show everybody how to do it. What is a good idea now is to check up with on your own telephone. Okay, are you able? Can you use a dual SIM slot? So you could keep your Australian number, plus you could put in a Spanish SIM card. That's what I do. Okay. You just have to check out on your phone to see if that's possible, because you might want to carry on receiving calls, or you might want your WhatsApp number to be linked to your Australian number. Okay, so that's that for the moment. So far, it's not rained and the water's not coming in, so it's pretty good for 1 hour. The other orientation sessions are going to be a little bit longer. So I'd like to know, it's 12 o'clock now. Can I just ask you something? I'm going to stop this. Right. Okay, let me ask you something, please. I suppose the most easterly person would be Regan.
It's 8 o'clock for me right now.
It's 8 o'clock. Okay. And
Yeah.
what time is really late for you?
This isn't late. Probably like 10 o'clock would be like pushing it, but I work really late. I work really late at Bunnings Warehouse. So I don't really get home, and I'm also a hospitality worker. So 10 o'clock, but then I do have school the next day. So 10 o'clock's the latest for me.
Absolutely. Okay, that's very good to know. So I know some people, you wrote to me, said it was a bit early. So I can make sure that the next session would start at 12, which would be no, we will start at we will start at 11:30 and then go on till about 1:30. So it'll be a 2 hour session maximum. If any of you arrive a little bit later, it's not a problem. If any of you have to go a little bit earlier, it's not a problem either. Okay. So from now on, we start in about half an hour later on. The next one will be in 3 weeks. So that would be approximately the 3rd of October. Okay. First week of October will be our next session. I will let you know. Please tell me, oh no, like 3rd of October or whatever Wednesday, whatever day that is. I'm saying it off the cuff. 4th of October, which is a Wednesday. Okay. Right. But if you guys want to say, oh no, that's a public holiday in Australia, it's not good for us, or it's like, the Rugby World Cup final. Even though I don't think the Wallabies are going to be in the final. They might be, who knows? Anyway, whatever it is, just let me know collectively. That's not a good day for us. Okay. I'll be recording all the sessions and they'll be posted online as well. So before we go, my colleague Laura is going to be contacting you. She has a different domain, a different email address. She is going to be contacting you about outstanding documents from now on. Okay. I've had a lot of documents, and very good ones, but she's going to be contacting you. All right. Shortly. But for the moment, are there any questions?
I've got a couple.
Yes, Will.
So I guess just on documents, when would those documents be due? So the police check, the references, and the medical certificate.
We would like the police check, medical certificate, and references by the end of this month, please. That's by the end of September. Let me just tell you, some of you have asked me about the content of the personal introduction, the personal letter. I've had some really nice ones. They're all really, really nice. Okay. So make it maximum 2 sides of a page. It can be handwritten or it can be typed out. Include a couple of photos. It's not an application form. We've already had your application form. So it's a lot more informal. Let's say the application form is for us, but the other, this letter of introduction is for the school and particularly the family. Okay. Sorry, Will, was there a second question?
Yeah, so regarding flights, I've been looking at booking flights. Is there a certain time we kind of want to get to Madrid, or like if we arrive, say, midday, does it matter?
Not really, because to be honest, you're probably going to be getting Emirates or Etihad, or Qatar Airways, I'm sorry, flights which tend to go through Doha or Dubai. When they come into Spain, those tend to be the cheapest options. So whatever time you get here, it's fine.
Yep, cool.
And Josh, so just to confirm, it was the 12th of January you were talking about it and said you'd check. That's locked in?
I bet I've got it written down somewhere in my notes inside. 12th of January, that's the Friday. I think that would be a jolly good day. What do you think? And is anybody, it would be the 12th. I think that is the best date, that weekend. Yeah.
And then that means that following Monday is when we all disperse.
That's it. And then Monday morning, 15th, off you go.
I just have one of my own question. You were talking earlier about how you want to balancing like the workload with the, the schools talking about paid work and that kind of stuff. I was just wondering if you could like potentially elaborate, because I know that's not exactly happening. It's just the 15 hours of volunteer work and maybe some private tutoring. Is that, I don't know, is that all how it's going to be? Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I think 15 hours volunteer work, and then if you can pick up 8 to 10 hours private tuition, conversation classes, I'd say 8, at the beginning, 8. And if you're getting paid 10 to 12 euros an hour, then you would be getting between 300, 350 euros a month, which is okay. You won't need more than that, to get around, to do the odd trip, to go out and have pay your gym membership and stuff like that. Okay. And the schools know, and you will find some people at the school saying, can you teach my kids? Or some teachers saying, I'd like to have conversation classes with you. You'll find them quite forthcoming.
What do those conversation classes look like?
We will talk about those in our next session. We're talking about things you can do in class. Okay.
Awesome. All right.
But it's quite important to realize a conversation class it's giving people the chance to practice English rather than saying, I'm going to teach you something new. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I have a question.
Sorry, Josh.
Oh,
no,
sorry,
you.
Miranda, go on.
Sorry, was I interrupting someone?
No, you lighted up first. You lit up first on my screen.
Okay. I was just wondering about the contents of the reference letters. Like, is it going to be addressed to the schools, or because I've asked a couple of people and they're like, well, what do you want in it? I don't really know.
I will send you a reference form, which will be easier to do.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. I'll make sure everybody gets a reference form.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
Okay. Jasper, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was just, I think you said this earlier, but just to confirm, would we be looking at maybe like a month or so before we know like a confirmed kind of placement?
More than a month, as I say. I think it's going to be from the end of this month. I mean, I would say 2 months before, because you're coming in 12th of January. I would say that, 12th of November is, I mean, before 12th of November for sure, because you need 2 months to get your visa. Well, you need about 3 or 4 weeks to get your visa. But anyway, that to give you
cool.
ample time. Okay, so you have to make sure, another thing, you have to make sure that your passports are valid, or if you're renewing your passport, that you're going to have it by the end of October, let's say.
Cool. Thank you.
I've honestly, I've got, as I say, there's the schools in Andalusia in the south. There's another school. Oh, look, here we go. Here's an interesting one, because I have one particular school who contacted me in Valencia, and they described themselves as a very conservative Catholic school. And I said, well, absolutely fine. I think we have some volunteers who have also been to, conservative Catholic schools in Australia. Now, I'm not going to oblige anybody to go anywhere they're going to feel uncomfortable. But if you have been through the experience of going, well, I know what they expect, and I've been wearing uniform since I was 7 years old. It's not a big deal. So whatever they can throw at me is not going to be much of a shock. But I will ask you beforehand, okay? I will ask you beforehand if you feel comfortable with those situations.
And where would those placements in Andalusia be? Like, which cities type of thing?
We don't know yet. We've just been told it's a group of schools who would like to look at the possibility of having volunteers in Andalusia.
Just for the record, I'd definitely be interested in Andalusia if that's a possibility, but happy either way.
All right. Okay, fine, great. Yeah, absolutely. You'd be one of our pioneers then.
Untested waters.
All right. Any more questions?
Josh, when you say we need to communicate with the families about going away on the weekend and that type of stuff, how much English are they really going to speak?
I mean,
Because
they'll know enough to look at a calendar. Yeah, of course, and they tend to be people who are, you know, have got a university education and will speak some English. And if not, somebody in, you know, the kids will speak English and they will act as translators for them.
perfect. Cheers.
That's not an issue. That is not an issue. Okay. And if any of the schools or the families saying, well, you know, he says he's going away somewhere, we don't quite understand what it is, like 2020. Okay, I told you, COVID had just arrived on the scene in January, February, and we had a bunch of students who decide they want to go to Milan in Italy. Okay. Oh, there's a big football match. Still like not quite. I said, you know, you won't get tickets. Yeah, we've got tickets. We're going to Milan. We've got cheap flights. Off we go. The first cases of COVID in Europe were being reported in Italy. So we're quite worried about people, what they're doing. Families go, why are they going to Milan? I said, I really don't know. Milan in February is really cold and, you know, it's not a great time to go. They go off, you know, on the Thursday. Saturday morning, there's a massive train crash in Milan. You know, where are the volunteers? Hope they haven't been involved. Oh, of course not. No, okay, that's okay. They're all safe. All come back from Milan. What were you doing there? You went to the football match. No, only one person went to the soccer match. Okay, the others went because it was a cheap flight and there was cheap accommodation, and that was it. That was a situation for me because I'm saying to all the families, no, they're going to see this like once in a lifetime soccer match, and it turned out not to be the case. You've always got an excuse to travel, right? But there are some times and some places which are better than others, believe me.
One more question about like traveling and flights, I suppose. Should we be booking one-way or return trips?
I think you should probably get a return trip. Normally with those kind of flights, if they're you know such kind of long distance flights, that you would be able to change the dates, and the date you'd be going home would be, if you're coming for a 6-month placement, would be the 30th of June. Okay, but if you decide, well, I want to travel Europe for a month afterwards, well, we'll do it the 30th of July. That's up to you.
Yep. I think lots of the airline sites don't actually show don't give you the option to select a date more than 6 months in advance. So if you're staying for the year, it's kind of hard to set the date for your return trip, I found.
It is. Then you'd have to check to see if there's a possibility of extending your stay and what kind of penalization. I know exactly. I was trying to book a flight to Perth for September next year, and there's nothing up there. So it's exactly 1 year from now. It's not there. Okay. I'll try and have a look at Emirates and see what their policy is about this. I just say Emirates because most people travel using Emirates, because the stopover in Dubai is not too painful. All right. And it's kind of like splits the journey into 7 hours and 4 hours, or 9 hours and 4 hours, something like that.
It's more like 12 hours and 12 hours.
12 hours, well, it might be with a layover because Dubai to Spain is a little bit shorter. I'm sure that Dubai to Australia is quite long. But people felt quite comfortable doing it. Others came on a longer flight, which was just with one stop and off to London and then London to Spain, which was just 2 hours. And they felt that the first leg of the journey was too long. So actually stopping in the Middle East, for people who have done it, said they felt a little bit more comfortable. Okay. I'll send you information about that anyway. And Regan, I'll be talking to you. Okay. As soon as I've sort of bailed, you know, got rid of some water out of my workplace, I'll be back to speak to you. I'll send you an email. We can arrange to meet one day next week online. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay, brilliant. I can't read the tarot cards for you or any other kind of but it's nice actually. Yeah, it's fun. It's great. Okay. Anything else? Anything else in your mind, guys? No, okay. I'll put an end to this, and you can all go to bed. I know you're studying. I know some of you got exams and stuff. So thank you very much for your time. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Stop.